Hello, everyone. My name is Kate Bly, and I am a website designer, photographer, and content creator. And today I am sharing with you a free template for card that I made just for you, specifically for content creators. I'm giving it to you, and then this video is the complete tutorial. For me, I am motivated to help content creators monetize outside of their social media platforms. And hopefully, this gets you on a starting point to see how that vision can become a reality and do it at a very low expense. And once you complete this tutorial video and do this along with me, you'll be able to launch your site. So it's all very exciting. Now, this template is perfect for anyone who's a content creator or has something that they offer and wants to start collecting an email list, wants to have a way for people to contact them that's more professional than DMs, etc. And it could be adapted for someone who sells digital products or physical products. If you have a large number of products, this isn't the website for you. This is for people just starting out that maybe have one or two items that they're looking to put out there, have for sale, start building an email list, really start from scratch so that you have a hub of the essential things that you need to do. And first things first, to get this template, wherever you're watching this video, you can either find it in the description, for example, on YouTube, the links to access this template, and or in the replies or comments, wherever you're finding this video, you should be able to find the link to access the demo, which I'm looking at right now, and I will show you around. Once you access the demo, all the links that you'll need are inside that demo, but also wherever you're viewing this video, again, there will be the links to all the things I talk about in this video. I'm going to walk you through adding in your own content into this template from top to bottom. We're going to go through the whole thing. I'm also going to help you design in the sense of adding your own colors and fonts, which will truly make this template your own and stand out, because I am fully aware this is a very bland template, and that's intentional because it needs to be able to fit whatever your vibe is and have those customization powers. So that's what I'm empowering you to do with this template and this video. You'll also find, if you're watching this video on YouTube, that I will have the chapters to the different segments. And I do recommend maybe watching this in multiple sittings, doing this all in one go. I will be doing it in real time, step by step. So you are able to watch this video with me, do the edits as we go, pause as needed, but bookmark, save, share, and all that stuff so you can come back and keep editing your site. So I want to talk first, before I get into the tour of the template, about the pricing that's involved. I have tried my hardest to find a way to get content creators specifically, a way to get a website, a place for people to find all the information about them very easily, be it with Google search or just typing in the address bar or through links at the most affordable price possible. And for that, someone just starting out, of course, a card site is perfect for this. Now, Card is a beautiful, simple, and wonderful website builder. And it's extremely powerful in some ways, and it's lacking in others, but that's full of intention. And as long as we go into this website with the intention that I have set out for you, meaning that this is the right fit for you, what I've described is that it makes sense for you, then it will be all that you need at this moment. If what you need is more than what I've discussed, this isn't the right fit for you, so you should find another alternative. And I do have alternatives in the description of this video on YouTube or on my own website. You can go and see other options that might be a better choice for you. Now, when we talk about pricing, Card does a yearly payment plan. So their yearly payment plan that will be needed for this website, the template that I've created for you, is the Pro Plus plan at $49 per year. I challenge you to find a website option that is as easy, as simple, and effective for that price. I don't think you'll find it, and there are other options, of course, that are cheaper, but they're not going to be as simple, as easy, and as fast as we're going to be able to create a website for you today and in this video. So that is going to be your price. You want to make sure you sign up for that plan. Now, I'm giving away this template for free, so I'd appreciate it if you could use my affiliate link, and then that way I get a small percentage of that purchase, and I'm giving you that information. So I think that an equal exchange of value is important. So I'd appreciate if you use my affiliate link, which you'll find accompanying this video in the description or comments or the replies, wherever you're seeing it. So beyond that, you will have to consider your domain name, and that is an additional cost. So that would be, for example, my domain name is katebly.com. That's an additional cost on top of my website, right? So that's an additional cost you have to think about. And those typically, you're going to be averaging $15 to $20 a year. So for a full-on website with that, this is the price that you're going to be paying per year. We're well under $100 a year, depending on where you're located. Those prices might be different, but here in the US, you're going to be getting a beautiful website, very fast, very affordable. So let's do it. No more excuses, okay? Let's do a quick tour of the template. I'm going to show you what's available here and what we're going to go through. Now, I've created this template to be as simple and streamlined as possible, as quick and easy for you to get up there, because I think it's more important to just have a website than to spend a lifetime designing it. Better to just get it up, and then you can make tweaks as you go. So that is why the look of it is this way. And we have at the top navigation links. Now, the bare minimum I want you to have on your website is an about, a way for people to subscribe to your newsletter. Now, every email list starts at 0, so don't be scared about starting an email list. It doesn't mean you have to start sending newsletters right away, but you can, because it's great practice when you only have a few subscribers. But you want to start growing that as soon as you have a website up. So you want to have that. You want to have a way for people to contact you through a contact form, and that will help sort and organize your emails, potential collaborations, clients, etc. So have a contact form, and then you need to have an offer. I always say every content creator on their website, they should have an offer. Here, for the example, I've demoing the idea of an ebook. So whatever your expertise is, you could create an ebook on that subject, and you could offer it for sale. You could offer it for free, something. In this tutorial, I'll walk through how to create a digital product selling through Gumroad. But I'll also walk you through how to create a physical product that you can sell with Printify pop-up shops. I'm going to quickly scroll to the bottom of this webpage because I want to show you here the links at the bottom. I've included all the links of all the products I'm going to be talking about in this video. Now, these are my affiliate links, and I recommend these products. None of these companies reached out to me. They are all products I've used, and I use for my clients, I use for myself and other various projects. So I highly recommend all these companies that I'm using, and that's why they're here. So you can easily, everything I'm going to talk about is here. So you can sign up for these companies, these programs first before we get started. It'll save a little bit of time when you start watching the video, but that's up to you. Or there will be alternatives that I offer in the video. So if one of these solutions isn't fit for you, I will be offering other solutions. But we will get to that as that happens. All right, so for the template tour, I'm going to just show you each section will take you to the part of the page that we click on. And that's just the very simple navigation. This is a single page website, okay? And at the top, we have a feature. I'm going to demo featuring a YouTube video here, but you could use it to demo or to show off a latest post. Either you have a Substack post, you could feature your latest Substack post. If you are writing articles somewhere else or you're creating videos somewhere else, you can feature that here. And that's the intention of this top part here. Whatever your latest content is that you want people to find very easily and fast, that you want to actually feature, that would be here. And this could be changed out each time you have a new feature. Or I will also show you how you can make this an ongoing page that features all your top content. But here I'm just using the example of one, but it's very easy to adapt as you grow. So thinking you put out new videos, you update this every time you do a new video, and then eventually you have a whole list of videos that people can look through. The About section will include all your links to whatever content you're creating across the internet and any other places where people can support you. So if you don't have a website yet and you don't have these features built into your website, you will be sending people elsewhere. My philosophy personally is to have everything on your website, but I know that's not possible for everyone starting out, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur trying to build something on your own. So we use a lot of these outside tools, for example, like Substack for our blog, Patreon for members only content, and Buy Me a Coffee for donations. Those are just some examples of the more common ones, but whatever tools you use, I'll show you how to put those in here. And you want to have an About section that talks about you, but mostly about what you do for other people, because that's really the key. That's the missing piece in most About pages. So we'll write an About section together. I'll show you how to do that using AI. You want to feature any events that you have coming up. If you do regular live streams that are on a schedule, or you have anything coming up, you want to feature that on your website for sure. And then here we'll walk you through how to create a newsletter using Email Octopus, which is my preferred for people who are first starting. I recommend Email Octopus. I've tried all the others, and I find them to be the most user-friendly for beginners, which for me is the key here. There's no reason to get overwhelmed all at once using all kinds of new apps. This Email Octopus is perfect if you've never used an email service before to create a newsletter. This is what you want to do. So I'll walk you through that. Having a couple testimonials, especially if you offer something that's like a service or a course, something like that, a couple testimonials of people that have been your clients or customers to showcase what you do. And then, of course, we want to have an offer. And in this example, it's an ebook, but I'll also walk you through how to sell this as a digital product or as a physical product. And then at the bottom, we have our contact form where people can get in touch with you. Again, at the bottom, I've put these links here to all the products and tools I'm going to be using here with Card, including access to start building with the template. And then at the bottom, we again include all our links to wherever on the internet I want to take you to get further information with me. Okay, so that's the template tour. So the first thing we want to do is now start building with our template. Very exciting. So what you will want to do is you can use this link here where it says click this link to start building with this template now, or you can go to the very bottom of the page. There's also a link here in the footer at the very bottom, and there's also a link here. So you can click any of these buttons and it'll take us to the template to start building. Now, because I'm logged in with Card and I already have an account, it opened me up into this page. If you do not have a Card account, you'll need to create that first. Then again, go ahead and click that link and go ahead and start building. Now, when we get into Card, you'll see we start hovering over things. We'll see these blue boxes outlined with dots start popping up around things as I hover over them. You'll also see the images that I had in the demo are gone, but the spots are there for us to put in whatever images you want. Now, the first thing that we want to do is we want to add our content. It's very easy to get kind of distracted by the design of this, meaning like, oh, I want to add my own fonts or I want to change the colors. I would discourage that. At first, I would encourage you to just go in and change the information so that it is your information, your photos, your site, everything that's yours, all the content in here. And then at the end of this video, I'll go through the designing part. If you're interested, and if you already know how to go in and edit and make changes in Card, go for it. And you can just go ahead to the end of this video and see how I do all the designing work. But we're going to go in here and edit everything first. Very first thing we're going to do is I'm going to point out these bars here where you'll see header end. Now on the demo site, it's obvious that that doesn't appear there. We don't see that when we're looking at the website on a web browser. But when we're editing, we see this here. And this just means everything above this line is the header navigation of the website. That isn't to enable certain features that aren't being used on this website, but you can adapt your card site to use these features. So I like to have those controls there. And if we scroll down, you'll see these other controls here. This one's yellow. That takes us to the About page. And that is what controls, when we go back to the demo site and I click on About, that's what controls that the page automatically scrolls down to that point. So this is what they call a scroll point here. So that's how the navigation works. First thing we're going to do is change the title. So all we have to do is click on it and you'll see a panel comes up on the side. You can move this panel to the right or left side of your screen with these arrows, so you can, whichever you prefer to work in. And you'll see here I added dots next to your name, and that's where you'd put your name. Now these dots you're welcome to remove, but it's part of the theme of the template because I use dots in the dividers. But if you don't like those, you can get rid of them by simply deleting them. And for example, I just maybe made a mistake. I deleted it, but I want it back. You can always use the undo last action arrow, and we are back to the way it was. So here we can go ahead and put in your name. I'll put in mine, and that's there. And that's all we're going to change right now. The rest of these settings we're going to get into towards the end of the video. Once we have that, we can click done. Next is the navigation links. So these links are what take us to the different parts of the page, right? So we want to click on this, and you'll see here are the different links. We have the About, Subscribe, Contact, and Get My ebook. Now, you may want to change the wording of these. That's completely up to you. So you could change it, say you don't want it to say About, you could have it say About Me. And then as soon as I type that in and then I click away, you'll see it appears. Now the URL it's #about. Now let me show you why. When I go down here to the About section, About Me, you'll see the scroll point control, and it's #about. So that has to match here. If that doesn't match exactly, this will not work when I use it on the demo site. It'll take me somewhere else. Okay, so that's why that's written there. If I, for example, change this here, if I click on this, now I'm able to change the name. I could change this to whatever I wanted, but there's no need to change it because this is going to take me to the About page, and that's all I needed to do. I'm just showing you that's why it's like that. So changing the wording here, the label, to About Me, and leaving the URL the exact same, that's all you want to do with that. And then I can click this little caret to make it small, and we can continue on. So I could change this. If maybe subscribe isn't about the word I want, I could put newsletter. And if I click away, you'll see it there. And the control is #subscribe. We don't have to change that, because if we change that, then we also have to go down to the control here, which is #subscribe. Okay, if we make any changes, we need to make sure those match, or else these navigation links won't work. I hope that makes sense. So the next one here, I'm going to close that caret, and then I'm going to, here is contact. I can leave that for the contact form. And then the last one is the offer. So here I have Get My ebook, but I could change this to, if I'm going to work through both examples of a digital product and a physical product. So I could change that to official t-shirt or something like that. Click away, and there, and it makes a link so people can buy in one click my official t-shirt. Now, of course, you tie this into whatever is relevant for the content you're producing. If you have a hoodie that you're showing off in your videos and you're going to be selling it, you could make it easy for people to find that. If you want to sell multiple products, this is, again, not the template for you. This is not an e-commerce template. This is just a very basic essentials, and I would encourage you to just think in that way when working with this template. Maybe 1 or 2 items, and we could even, if I had 2 items, so say I have the digital download and I have the official t-shirt, I could make this just say offers, or I could make this, I could have this say shop, for example, so that people can realize I have multiple items. So I can leave it like that. The URL #offer takes us down to, scroll down, Here, you'll see here's the control point for offer. No need to change that, but that's where it is. Okay, so once we have made changes, I highly recommend using the save icon here, which is an old floppy disk. Click that, and what you can do is just check the box, save as an offline draft. Okay, and with that, you can go ahead and it won't let us save, right? Because we have to add a couple things. So we have to add title, we can just put my name, and then the description. This is where SEO is important. So you will want to work on who you are, what you're about, and your about section. And we could possibly take the first paragraph from your about section and paste it in here. But for now, I'm just going to have it like that and click save as an offline draft, and I'm just going to click save. And here we go. It's okay. We can't quite view it yet because it's only an offline draft. So we are just making the changes here in the editor. And then once we're ready to preview and make sure the changes we made are effective, then we will go ahead and publish it. And I will walk you through that. All right, so we've gone ahead and done the header. And the next thing we can talk about is this featured area. This is often called the hero section of a website and should contain the whatever you want to feature. And you'll want it to be your most relevant content, whatever you want to feature and draw attention to from your audience. So for me, the idea would be my latest video, maybe from YouTube. So what I can do here is this is an image, right? So here I'm able to upload an image. So if I had a screenshot from the video, I could upload that here, or I could actually put a video in here. So I'm going to walk through both scenarios. I'm going to simply upload demo content that I have. Okay, I'm going to get that demo content. Sorry about that. Okay, here is the image I'm going to add, and you'll see it opens up a very cool little simplified image editor. Now for this, probably a vertical or a square image would be great, so I can crop it to whatever I want. And then I can also use these tools to rotate if I want to, mirror the image horizontally or vertically. I can also make tweaks and changes to saturation, brightness, etc. And then there's also additional features here where you can add sepia tone at different levels, black and white. You can even invert the colors completely for a cool effect, or I could blur. Okay, so there's all kinds of these effects. If you do these tweaks to an image, I recommend trying to remember what you did. It's hard to do exactly the same tweaks to every image in here because the tools, you'll see there's no numbers to indicate where I'm hitting it, but you can get a general idea and try and replicate that throughout all your images, or you can edit your images in another program and just bring them in here as they are. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get this to the crop I want. And when in my demo, I just gave each of these bars just a little bit of a tweak, and then I click accept. Now what's kind of cool here, which is a really excellent feature here, is I can go ahead and edit anytime I want. I can change the crop, I can change these settings anytime I want. No big deal, right? Now, let's say this is a screenshot from a YouTube video, and I want it, when they click on this picture, for them to be taken to that YouTube video. So I'm going to just off screen pull up a YouTube video. All right. And what I'm doing is I'll bring it over here so you guys can see. Okay. So here I am on a YouTube video I made. What I want to do is take the URL of the YouTube video and I want to highlight it and copy that. And let's see, let me get right on the right page here. Here we go. And this is where I want to put that link URL. Paste, right? But I don't want someone to click on this and then my web page is gone and now they're on my YouTube channel. I want them to go to a new tab to watch the video, right? So I could do the way to do that in Card specifically. This is not all websites. This is just how Card does it. To have it open in a new tab, you do @ blank at the very end of that URL. No spaces, no nothing. And That's how you do it, okay? So that's what you want to do to have this. When they click on this, it takes them to the video. And click done, and there we go. Now we have our image, and when someone clicks on it, they'll be taken to the YouTube video. Another thing I could do here is also add a caption. So all I have to do is click on the image. Here's the plus button, and I click text, and it'll put text down underneath. And I'm going to just flip this over to the other side so we can see what I'm doing. And let me see, can you guys see, or am I hiding it? No, you can see it. Okay, so here you'll see this is the same text that is up here on the header, and it doesn't, I don't want it to be that big. That's a little much. We're going to just go ahead and go to the appearance real quick, change the appearance to caption. You can do caption or caption 1, and we're going to just do caption here, and then I can do watch the full video on YouTube. Now, this text isn't clickable, and we're able to make text clickable in card in a very special and different way. What we want to do is any text that we want to have clickable to be a link, what we do is we put a bracket around that text. So I have brackets around the word YouTube because I want the word YouTube to be clickable. Or I could put the brackets around this full text here, right? So, but I'm going to just show you with YouTube, just so you have that visual. You can compare it to the regular text. Now, we want to put the URL that this takes it to. And to do that, we do open parenthesis, close parenthesis. Now you'll see here is the shortcut, the cheat sheet here is this. This is the markdown. So we have open bracket, link text, close bracket, followed by open parenthesis, any valid URL, close parenthesis, right? So we're going to paste in that YouTube video URL, and we're going to do what again? At blank, so that will open up in a new window. And if I click done, now you'll see below the image screenshot from the video, for example, we have a caption that will take the person to the video. Here, we want to edit the content the same way we do. So you have an option for a heading, latest from YouTube, we could say. And here we can do comparing tablets from Google and Apple. Just whatever the video is about. And I'm going to switch this over to the other side again so I can see this. And then here we have this text. And now you'll see here, I have the word, this link is the link that I made clickable on my template demo, right? So I also made it underlined, and underlined, see, you can see here, it's 2 underscores, the text followed by 2 underscores. So this is your little cheat sheet here. So that's why it has click this link with 2 underscores before it. Now, if I remove those, you'll see now this link is not underlined. I wanted that underlined so it drew attention to it. You don't have to, okay? But here we can add whatever text we want. Watch my latest video comparing Google and Apple tablets. And then you can have click here to watch the video. Obviously, you should make this a little bit more compelling text. I'm just showing you how it works, okay? And you'll see I have the link here. I'm going to go ahead and just select the link and paste in the YouTube URL again so that they can click here to watch. And then the last thing we want to edit is the button, right? So we click on the button. Now we have the option to open up the button, and we can say click view instead of a post. It's a video. So view video, and it's not on X, it's on YouTube. So we just click the drop down and you'll find every single icon you can imagine. And we can choose whichever YouTube you want, and that will be good. And then here at the URL, again, we want to leave the at blank at the end. So we just select the URL part, paste in the YouTube video URL, and make sure that that blank is there so it opens in a new video. And there we go. So you can choose that YouTube, or we can choose that. I think I like this one better. And I might change it from view to watch. And when I click away, it appears there. So there we go. So now we have that hero section done. I want to show another option though, in case you wanted to embed the YouTube video here instead of having a screenshot. So this is just one example. So what we're going to do is just go ahead in and delete the image. And if you wanted to keep the image, you can always go back and undo what I just did, right? I'm going to just click on the text here. So when I click add, it adds it very close to where I'm working. And so then I click video. I'm going to just click done right now. And I'm actually going to physically tap and drag this so you can see where now I can move it around, right? What if I move it here and I totally screwed up everything? Undo, and we're back to where we were. We're going to just drag it just above the caption text. And here I'm going to click on this, and now we have the options. We can upload, and the card site allows for very short clips to be uploaded directly to your site. So what I recommend is an embed option, and you can embed from any of these locations. So we have YouTube here, and we want to make sure that we're using the YouTube. It's just giving you an example of the URL that's working. So you want to make sure you have that watch $v equals YouTube video URL. And I'm going to go ahead and paste that in and go ahead and click done. Now, we don't see a preview of that here, but when we publish the site, that will appear here. And at the end of the video, I will work on the design tweaks with you and the previewing so that we can get that to look how you envision. Okay, so the next section we're going to work on now is the About Me, which may be for some people the hardest section, but probably the most important. It's a way for people to not only get to learn a little bit more about you and what you do and what you offer, but also for people to find you organically another way other than social media. By having a good, comprehensive, and accurate about section can help you rank on Google for whatever you put in there. So it's just something you're thinking about when you are writing it. And we're going to write it together. I'm going to show you my strategies for getting a good about section using AI tools. Okay, so here at the top of the About section, I have just a small little design detail place to add your social media handle. If it's the same across social media, you can go ahead and use this. Feel free, if this isn't true for you, to change this text to something else. You can highlight something that's about you that you do. You could talk about, put in a few words, a tagline, whatever you're thinking. So this is just an idea to get you started. Now, I could also make this clickable, right? I could make this a link to whatever my primary social media is. So for example, let's say I want to start using YouTube as my primary social media. So I could make this clickable and link directly to my YouTube. So that's just an example of that. But I have included here in the About Me section all of the places where people can follow me on social media as buttons. So it's not necessarily required. I kind of like this just as a design detail. And if for some reason someone wants to search for my symbol account at handle anywhere, they can probably just copy and paste that or whatever, that I'm trying not to overthink this, right? And here, if you want to change what this says from About Me to Meet Kate, for example, would be another option for that. So you can put whatever you want for text there. Here is a spot to put a headshot image. I recommend a professional photo, but you could use your photo that you use on social media or profile photo or favorite photo of you. Try to avoid having photos with other people in it because that just kind of confuses. If you got to assume someone looking at this doesn't know what you look like. So you want to make sure you are including an image of you. And you could probably make this fun and make it into a GIF or something too, if you wanted to add a level of creativity to it. So here I'm just going to click on the image. I'm going to upload some of the demo content I have and show an example of how I can do this. So this image here is obviously a vertical image, but I can use the tools here in Card to make this a horizontal image, which I think would be more effective. And you can see that in the demo of the site, is that I do crop this as a horizontal because the person in this picture is looking to their left, my right. It's their eyes are drawing me in to look at the buttons that are on the right side of the layout. So if I go ahead, and I can also go in here and make those changes to make this image match the overall style where I made those changes so that that style kind of matches, and then I can accept. And then here I can go ahead and click done, and you can see now this is looking to the right, my right, looking at the buttons. So that's kind of just a little design idea that you can use for inspiration. For example, if this person was looking the wrong way, I could use the horizontal flip tool to flip the image and have them looking where I want them to. Okay. The next thing we want to edit here are the buttons. So if we hover over the buttons, we are able to see all the buttons. I'm just going to close this caret so you can see all the buttons. And here we can customize the text that's on these buttons, the graphic that is on the buttons, and also, of course, the link where the button takes you. You want to make sure all those things are customized for you. So for example, maybe I'm not on X, but I want to have this go to my YouTube channel. So I could go ahead down here and find the YouTube icon I want to use. And I could say subscribe on YouTube and add my YouTube link here while leaving, of course, the link at the end, right? So I'm going to just go ahead and put my YouTube. Okay. And now you can see it says subscribe on YouTube, and then I can close that caret. Next, I have the Instagram. So I have just follow me on Instagram. Make sure your Instagram link is here. You can just change my name out and put in your handle if that you use Instagram, and close that caret. Here I have Substack. If you have a blog elsewhere, you can find that there. If you don't have a blog, maybe you stream on Twitch or something like that, you could say follow me on, right? And then we can find Twitch on here. If it's here, I don't know. Well, keep going. A lot of T's. Here we go. Here's Twitch. So, and then I would have twitch.com with my main page with the blank, and there you go. And we're going to close that caret. So that's just an example of how to do this. Now, let's say maybe I have these three things. I don't have a Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee or anything. You could look into setting those up. But you can also just remove these. So I can open this button here, and I can just scroll to the bottom here, and I can click the trash can, and that will just get rid of it. If I want to add another one, I can do that as well. So I would just be changing the text here. I would not suggest putting your email as a button. That is the default they do. But you can see they have all kinds of different icons for all kinds of different apps. It's hard to find one that you probably don't use. So find the ones that you use and include those as buttons here. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that, and I'm going to leave those there. The next thing is the big one, tackling writing our about section. So if I click on this, you'll see here it opens up. Now at the top, I do this, this, and this, and in bold. So the two asterisks before and after is what makes this bold, and I just put this in uppercase by writing it in uppercase. And you can see if I go down here to my cheat sheet, you'll see 2 stars surrounding the text makes it bold, okay? So what I can do here is literally write the 3 things I do. And this is the most important, is sharing with people what you do. The idea of what you have done is not as important as what you are actually doing, okay? So I make websites, photograph nature, and explore New Hampshire. Or I could put and blog New Hampshire, something like that. So this is what I do. Or I could say I could change this to I am a website designer, blogger, and photographer. So you can, basically the point is here, I'm putting everything I do in one sentence. That, and it's bold, and it's all caps, and it's clear. The amount of people that will actually read the about section is very little. And of course we want to include information for those people. But the majority of people are just going to be scanning through, and we want to get their attention, and they will see this and understand who you are, what you do right away. Okay. And I did I could also include something like living in New Hampshire, because for me, where I live is an important and relevant thing about what I do. And it's part of the audience I want to attract is people who live in New Hampshire or people who need websites or are traveling here. So for me, that's an important aspect of what I would do, and I want to include that. So if where you live is not important, you don't need to include that. So that's why I didn't have that there. But just think about those things. What do you do? And you don't have to have three. Three is a lovely number and looks nice, but you could have just one thing, and that's okay too. Now, the next part is I have included tips on the About section. If you actually read this, it tells you everything that I think is important for an About section. It should focus on what you can do for your audience, emphasizing the benefits that they will gain from engaging with you. You start with your opening about your highlights. So that's this here, right? And then you want to talk about how your skills and experiences that you've accrued over time can help them, okay? And use your relevant background to build credibility. Keep the focus on those aspects for the reader. And you can briefly mention your interests to humanize and relate, but prioritize explaining what you can offer and how you can help them achieve their goals. Okay. And you may be thinking, well, I'm just a content creator. What do you mean by this? Well, what are you doing? Why are you creating content? Who is it for? Who's your audience? If you don't know these things, that's what makes this hard. But once you kind of understand who your audience is, who you're creating for, why you're creating it, and why you're creating it for them, it all becomes very easy, right? So I also in here recommend using AI tools for the assistance for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I would write my About section right now using AI. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this first paragraph that I wrote, because this is a fantastic prompt for the AI. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to copy. And I'm actually going to go ahead over to ChatGPT. You can use ChatGPT 4.0 for free. So why not? Go over there and use it. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to paste in that. And I'm going to say I need 2 paragraphs for my About page on my website. And then I just do shift return so I can kind of spread these out. And I'm going to just include the basics about me, like just literally bullet points. So my name's Kate Bly. Let's see, I design websites on Squarespace and Card for content creators, artists, and makers. I am a freelance photographer living in New Hampshire and vlog about my adventures in photographing the beautiful landscape and other projects I do. And I'm not being fancy here. I'm just literally putting what I do. And then I create courses for building own website and Squarespace and Card. And let's see what else I do. I enjoy riding my bikes, road bike, mountain bike, and e-bike, hiking in the White Mountains, and traveling. And let's see, what else would it be? Like a hobby, skiing in the winter. So those are my big ones. And what else could I include? You can find me most active on X and Instagram. I do live streams. A little bit more about what I do. I do live streams every other week, discussing social media and websites. Okay, so I'm just literally just listing out what I do. So you want to do the same thing. You can even just do bullet points. And I could write a little bit about who I was in the past, if that's important to what you offer. So, and I'm going to write, I've been building websites since the late 90s. I am a former full-time wedding photographer. What else? I've been associated. I have a Associate of Science in Professional Photography. Let's see, what else would be relevant? And I think that's good for now. Okay, so just to give you a good idea. So I'm just going to include some of my education and background that's relevant to what I'm doing. And then I'm going to hit enter and we're going to see what it does. Now, it does tend to do pretty flowery language, which I personally have a problem with because that's what kind of gives it away as AI, right? And this is a fine about section actually, and I could just go ahead and rewrite this. But what I'm going to have the ChatGPT do is I'm going to say, you know, this is great. I'm always very complimentary, you know, to our AI overlords, but I would like to avoid unnecessary adverbs and adjectives. I find that that's where the language gets most flowery with the AI and where it kind of goes off the rails. It's just too much. It's almost like nauseating the amount of adverbs and adjectives we use. So that's what I do. So please rewrite. And then this way I'm given a more dry, basic, matter of fact about. So you can see it's very plain language, which is what I want. And I'm going to just select that and copy, or you can click the copy icon. Got to have the mic on. And with that copied, we're going to go over here and I'm going to select all the text here, delete that, and I'm going to paste that in. And then here I can go ahead and read it in here and make any changes. So I will just, what you want to do from this point is just go in here and read this, make sure it makes sense, it's actually accurate to you, and then add any changes or words or reread the wording, add things, take away things to make it your own. Okay, so you don't want to just copy and paste and leave it like I am, but for the sake of this demo, that's what you would want to do. So the next section here is a section I have for upcoming events. So if you do a regular live stream, if you have a podcast, if you have a channel where you drop videos regularly, if you have anything that's almost like appointment for your audience, you want to include that as an event. And you could be an in-person event that you're doing, and it could be something that you do every week. So this is where you want to add those things, because the only way people will be able to follow you and find what you're doing and stay on top of things is if you tell them. So if you don't tell them, they're never going to find it. So for here, we have an example of a Q&A live stream. If I want to, I can take this and I'm going to just move this over to the right so you can see this better. I clicked on the actual container. So I'm going to click away and you can see I can click on the items inside, but what I'm doing is I'm clicking on the container that's containing that all of this sits in, right? And here I'm going to click the make a copy of this element. So now you can see I have two of these things. So I can make, if I have multiple things coming up, I can do that. So I would just keep doing that until I have all the ones that I have coming up. And as things go, you can delete or you can just move things around. So this is now an older event. I can go ahead and move that around and update this to a later event. So you can physically move these containers around into the order they need to be. Okay, and here I just go in and change the text if it's on May 19 and the time zones, very important to include when you are on the internet, right? So we want to make sure we include whatever time zone or Pacific time, right? So whatever time zone you're in, be sure to include that so people can understand what time it is wherever they live. Write whatever text you want to about it, give it a title, and then I'm going to just move this over to the left so you can see this RSVP section. Here is a very interesting thing. So here, calendar. If you create this as an event in Google Calendar, you can then share it and people would be able to add it to their Google Calendar. So I use Google Calendar, you may use another calendar, but whatever calendar you use, you can create an event, make it a public event. So obviously not including personal information about yourself and all that, but you can make it an event and then you can share that with your calendar and then you'll given a URL, right? So you can add that here, paste it in, leave the @ blank. So when they click this, then they will add that to their calendar so they show up. It's not necessarily an RSVP technically, because the actual just takes them to the calendar where they can add the event to their calendar. You won't necessarily see that in yours, or possibly, but that's how you could do that. If you create an event on Facebook, so I'm going to just close this down and open up Facebook. You can see if you create an event on Facebook, you get a share link when you share it, and you put that share link here, and people can go to the Facebook event page and RSVP. And then again, I can close this, and if you've scheduled a live stream on YouTube, right, you can copy that watch link for that live stream and paste it here. So people can go to YouTube, go to the scheduled live stream page and click that notify me button, which is so cool. So this is just ways to make it very easy for your audience to find you. And if you're not on Facebook or whatever, again, we can change this to whatever we need to be. So let's just say, for example, we were streaming on Twitch, not Facebook. So we could go ahead down and try and find Twitch. Keep scrolling. Here we go. Find Twitch, right? And then we would put the Twitch link to whatever it was. And here we can change the color, because, you know, the Twitch logo isn't at this blue. So we just click on this. We find that green or whatever that the Twitch logo usually is, and you can use that, right? So that's how you can incorporate this for other platforms. Okay, and then once we get that how we want it, it's done. And say, for example, we want to now delete one because this has passed. We can click this and delete it, right? And when it asks us preserve the contents, we want to say no because we're deleting it, right? So we say no, and that's gone now, and it just has this one. And maybe I did that by mistake. Again, I can go ahead and click undo, and I can get that back, right? So you can, even if you think you made a mistake. So I hope that makes sense for this upcoming event section, which I think is super important and a very cool feature to get your audience involved. Now you can see the way I'm building this website for you. This isn't a static place. You don't want your website to just be updated, static, and never think about it again. It should be something that's constantly updated, constantly adding new information, because you never know when someone's first time going to your webpage. If they see an event from 2 years ago, they're going to think you're not updating and it's irrelevant, right? So we want to keep things updated and relevant. So we want to add new events as they happen. We want to keep that feature hero section at the top of our webpage updated with our most latest content, and keep things engaged. Make this a place where people want to go to find your latest info. Okay, before we move on to the subscribe section, I'm going to, I guess, remind you to save your changes. And you want to remember to do this as often as possible, because if your website crashes, unfortunately, the website might not save. So you want to be prepared for that. Now, the subscribe section, the way I've set it up is I have a banner image at the top and a little bit about the newsletter and a way to collect emails. So first, we're going to just add an image here, just like we've done with all the others. And I'm going to click upload, pull in one of the demo content, and you could make a banner or whatever you want for this. I could talk more about your newsletter, but I'm just going to be putting in this image, and then I'm going to add the same kinds of effects I just did on all the other ones, so it matches that look, accept, and there we go, and I click done. And here we can do sign up, weekly newsletter, or every other week, or whatever you want to write, and you can write a little bit about the content that you're going to be including in the newsletter. Now, I included a link here because I am recommending Email Octopus to people, which I will show you around and show you why I recommend it. Of course, if you're already using a newsletter source, I'll show you the ones that already integrate with Card here, so it'll be very easy to integrate something you're already using. So there's no need to start using a new one. But if you are starting from zero, you don't have an email list, and you don't have anyone that you partner with or work with right now for your email newsletter, then I would recommend Email Octopus as a fantastic starting point because of its simplicity. So you will want to go in and change. You can delete all this and add whatever text you want. All right. And what we're going to be doing now is I'm going to click on this form, and I'll show you the different options. So you can see the form here is that we have a few options of types of forms. We have a contact form, sign up form, and a custom form. So this is a sign up form, and I'm using Email Octopus, but here are all the other options. So if you already have an account with any of these, you can already connect these. I'm not going to go through in detail how to connect all these. I'm going to show you with Email Octopus. It's going to be very similar in that regard, but please look into the documentation for each of these platforms so you know that you're connected. And after you're connected, please do a test and make sure that the form is working. So we're going to check Email Octopus, and you'll see here it requires your Email Octopus's API key. It also requires the list ID. Okay, so what we're going to do is go ahead, and I'm going to show you why I choose Email Octopus and recommend it for this. It's mostly the price. The starter plan is free up to 2,500 subscribers and up to 10,000 emails a month. So that's very significant for free. Now you do have their branding on emails that appears in the footer, and you got reports for 30 days. So over time, as you grow, reports will disappear. But if you are aware of that and you want to keep track of that data, be sure to download your reports every 30 days and you're all set, or maybe every 2 weeks so you know you don't miss it. You're allowed to create 3 landing pages and forms. We don't have to worry about that because we're already doing it in Card, and then access for 1 user. So it's just 1 login. Then you can see if you need to up your ante here, you can see how much more it will cost you. So if you need to send more than 10,000 emails a month, you can select and see what's involved. Or if you want to have more control over the design, remove the branding, all this other stuff, these other features, having unlimited users and reports, an example. So it's very simple. The price just goes up based on how many subscribers and how many emails a month you want to send. And as far as pricing goes, I think it's fairly competitive in that regard. But if you are growing your email list to more than what the free plan can handle, I think that you should probably consider you've outgrown your landing page style website, and you should probably think about actually having a comprehensive website where people can interact with you more than just a landing page. That's the way the internet's going, so having just a landing page is kind of old-fashioned and boring at this point, but it is a fantastic thing if you're starting out and trying to grow something. So not throwing too much shade at landing pages because they do have their place. But if you have a ton of email subscribers, it's time for you to invest in yourself and migrate away from the landing page idea. Okay, so once you sign up, there will be a verification process that you have to go through with Email Octopus. It usually takes 24 hours, sometimes quicker. But even if you're not 100% approved yet, you can start getting things set up. So first thing that you want to do is we want to create a list. So we go to our lists, create a list, and we can just name this newsletter. Or if you're going to have multiple lists or multiple websites or multiple card sites or multiple landing pages, you may want to get more specific here. But either I'm just going to do it simple here, and you're able to import contacts as well if you'd like. I'm going to create, and there we go. So now we have our email list. The next thing we want to do is go ahead into our settings, and here is where you'll find your API key. Now I'm deleting this immediately after, so this will not be available to you, but this is the, not the API key, excuse me, this is the list ID. So we're going to copy the list ID. We're going to go back to our card site here and see here where it says list ID. This is where we're going to be putting that. We're going to put that there, and then now we need to get the API key from Email Octopus. So I'm going to close that window because I don't want to get confused. And to get our API key, we go ahead into the top right corner where you see your picture, if you have a profile picture and your name, and you go ahead down to integrations and API. And here we are able to get an API key. So here we go into manage and we create a key and we can give it the name. And if you have specific card sites or multiple sites, you want to make sure you name these so you can be specific. Here we go, we create it. Now, once we've created it, you can copy that and download it and store it somewhere safe. And here is where we paste it. So once that's all set, we can scroll down here and we can have a display message on completion. So here I just have that this is not a real email list. And so there we go. I'm going to click done. And at this point, we want to save. And we're not ready to test it yet, but we've set everything up, so it'll be ready to go. So you can see how easy and quick that is. And in Email Octopus, once we open dashboard, once we have a list and we're ready to create a campaign, which is when we want to send out a newsletter to our people, it's very easy and intuitive to create a campaign. If you're interested in a more detailed video about creating a campaign in Email Octopus, let me know in the comments or replies, and I'm happy to do that as well. Okay, in the section just below the newsletter sign up, I have a spot for testimonials. Now, if you don't have any testimonials, you could change this into being something else if you wanted, or you could remove it completely. But I would recommend including testimonials, just people who either have benefited from your service or have benefited from what you do, information you provide, entertained by you in some capacity, left a glowing comment on a YouTube video, for example. Use those and include those in this template. Now, I have a spot for a picture. Now, you may not have a picture or a profile pic or something from the person who is the quote. So in that case, all you have to do is click the image and the delete, and that will just take care of that, and you'll still keep a lovely formatting. Now, if I made a mistake and I want that picture back, I can just do the undo, and I'm going to upload the demo images just like I have in the website demo and here, and then I can go ahead and give this guy the treatment that I've given all my images, accept, and these are just stock images I use. Now, for example, if this was a client of mine and I wanted to promote what they're doing, I could include a link URL to whatever they're doing in there with the @ at the end. So if people were curious and wanted to validate that this was a person, they can, or like if they have a Instagram or social media profile, I could link to that, right? And that kind of thing can always be actually helpful, because if a person is just a picture of a person, like I just made these up literally, and so what makes this different than something I just made up versus what's real is the ability for someone to click on it and to go see, and that's actually a real person. Wow, that's cool, right? So you want to think about that a little bit. Here I have the opportunity to change the name. I have the opportunity to change their title. You could also remove this if you don't want to, but I think it's important to show what they do. And here I have the dots, so it kind of matches the theme and fits into the design, but you can remove those if you'd like. And here I can click on the text and change the quote to whatever I want. So that's how this testimonial section works. I think it's a great feature, and I really encourage you to make an effort and include that. If you'd like to include more than 2, we could click the container, click copy, and now we have 4, right? We could also, I'm going to just go ahead and click this container and delete it. Do not preserve the contents. I could also click this container, and I could add a 4th column because I have 3 here. 1 is used as a spacer, but I could go ahead and do that. And I'm going to walk through that in the design aspect. So for now, really try not to overthink adding more than 2. I recommend having 2, and during the design portion of this video, I will show you how to add a 3rd one. All right, so we're getting along. We're doing really great here. Next is your offer. What are you offering the people that visit your website? You should have something. It could be a free digital download. It could be a paid course. It could be a call for more information, anything, a service, a physical product. So I'm going to think about how you can offer a digital product here, and then also how you can offer a physical product here. So one recommended thing is, if you have a course or something built on another site, you could easily change the text, just like we've been doing the text on all this stuff to fit your content. Change this button to buy now for whatever price. I'm going to just open this up. And then here, you can see I have a link. Just change that URL to whatever platform you're on. So if Teachable or something like that is your course, copy the link to that course And you could even, if it's a teachable link, I think I can typing. They have teachable here. They don't have that, but you can see there's other places. Maybe teachable isn't a thing anymore. But you understand what I'm saying. You could find the correct a link to what you want. I'm going to just put, or you can just always use this link icon, which is kind of the default for like, this is taking you somewhere else. And on your URL, always include the @blank at the end. So it takes them on to a new tab. Very important. So whatever it is that you're linking to, that's what you put in this button. Now, if I'm linking to a product on Gumroad, I get that URL. And if I'm linking to a product, and I'm going to show you how to do a Printify pop-up shop, it's very cool. If you're linking to a physical product that people can order and buy in a Printify pop-up shop, which is free, you can do that here too. So we just get that URL and send them directly there to buy. So we would include a picture, ideally, of whatever it is we're selling. And under here, I have a caption, which is just the details about how you can sell these products. My recommendation of Gumroad, and then my recommendation of Printify. So you would change this caption to whatever you want it to say. And from here, what I'm going to show you is how I use Gumroad and how I use Printify pop-up shops to create products for these types of landing pages where it's a single item or it's a one or two products, because we could easily duplicate this whole container. I'm clicking the whole container, everything in here selected. I could easily duplicate this and have multiple things. I could even move these, switch these things around. So I can click the container, I can move these columns, switch those just like that, and now it's a different design, right? So it's very easy to add multiple products, but this can get very cluttered very quickly. So it's better to just have one or two. If you offer more products, I would encourage you to look for another website other than Card. All right, so if we go to Gumroad and you create an account there, you have an option to start creating products right away. It's very simple. And they do take a percentage of your sales for that transaction. So you have to keep that in mind when you are selling and pricing your items. But they make it very easily to just create a new product. All we do is go into our products, create a new product, give it a name. And here you can list all different types of products. Now, I recommend Gumroad for digital products. I wouldn't sell a physical good here unless it is something that you are personally making and you are shipping yourself. When I'm talking about Printify as an option of a way to sell merch, is that's a print on demand business model where you don't actually keep the products in stock. It's made and shipped at another location and sent directly to your customer. So you're not responsible for that. But if you are making something in your home or at your business and you want to sell that physical good, you could definitely do that here as well. So those are just the options that are available, but I'd recommend do a low barrier to entry and pick your first product and make it a digital product of some kind, either a set of files to download or a course, a tutorial, or an ebook, these top ones, okay? So once you create the product, you select the product, create the name, and then you create your price point, and you can choose any currency that they have available here, and then you price it. And then from there, you go ahead and customize and do all the details and the hard work that is involved. So a digital product would be a set of files. So it's either images or a PDF would be the best way to deliver, or they recommend, like if it's an MP3 or a song, a podcast, that's a special interview or whatever it is. You know, you're the creator, you come up with it. But that is what you will be doing at the following pages, is the customize and everything. And once you're done and you've created it and you get your link for that product, that is what you will put in when you have your button here. So that's what you put in here. Okay. And you can have the picture of it, the image of it, be clickable as well, like I've shown you with the link URL and adding the link and then the @ blank afterwards. Okay, so I hope that makes sense for how to make a digital product and sell it very easily with Gumroad. The next idea I had for a concept was to create a physical product. And with Printify, you're able to do print on demand. And with their pop-up store feature, you're able to create a storefront for free and make it very quickly. So you can create these products, have a place that people can go buy and check out. And if they buy something, that is when you pay for the product. So this can be a little bit hard for people to wrap their head around. Say you're selling hoodies. You can create that hoodie and you can make the design, and I'll walk you through that real quickly. And that will be in your storefront. And once someone goes to that storefront and clicks buy and buys it, now me, the creator of that hoodie, I'm going to get billed by the person who makes that for me. So that hoodie, if it costs $30 for that person, that company that makes these hoodies, costs them $30, I get billed $30 at that point, and whatever the shipping cost is. It takes a couple of days, but the money that they paid, the customer paid, does end up in your bank account. So that's where the profit's made. Okay, so you have to pay for the product to be made and shipped, but the customer is paying for that, and that goes to your bank account, what the customer pays. Hope that makes sense. So here is where you sign up for the store, and I'm going to go to my store and show you an example. So here in my store called Leaf Peeper Shop, I have a few items that I've designed. So for example, hoodie with the design on it, okay? And what you do is you just go through the catalog, find the products, and they make and sell products all over the world. So me being in the United States, I look specifically for products that are made in the USA, only because majority of my audience is in the USA. So I want to make sure that the products get made and shipped to them very quickly. I can pick products made in other countries, but those will take longer to arrive to my customer. So that's a consideration. So I pick out the product I want, I design it using their design tools, and once I get to the end of the design part, it creates mock-ups for me, right? Very cool. I create a name, I add a description. I used AI to create the description. Here, it tells you the shipping costs. So it does ship worldwide, but the shipping in the United States, it has the picture, price, and everything, and how long it takes typically. And then, worldwide. And then it shows me the different size, colors. I selected the colors during the design process, and the price. Here is where you enter in the retail price. So what I would do is select all, edit price, and you need to understand either you update the actual price, you update your profit margin, how much you want your profit margin to be, or by either a dollar amount or a percentage. You would want to make sure that this is at least 60% profit margin if you want to be profitable. So mine is from around 55 to 65% profit margin on these, because essentially the production cost plus the cost of shipping plus taxes and everything else that comes out of that, what I'm left with is a very minimal amount. So you need to make sure that profit margin is making it worth your while still being a retail price that people can stomach. So you can see I set a retail price of $60 for these, and it lists the production costs. So the larger the size of the hoodie, the more the production costs, but I've priced them out the same. So the bigger ones I don't make as much profit on, but you see, I kind of want to make that fair. That was just a decision I made. So you can decide what you want for a retail price. Now, the production costs of these may be like, oh, wow, you're making a killing on these. That's an incredible amount of profit. Again, there is a lot that comes out of the price, including shipping. So you want to make sure you have, I would recommend about 60% profit margin, but you can, of course, make that whatever you want. And once you have done all that, you can update and save and publish to your store. So I'm just going to go back to my products here, and I'm going to visit the store, and you can see this is how it looks. Here is the hoodie I was looking at, and here we go is all the size options, the design I made. You can zoom in and get a good look at it. You can pick your color, and you add to cart. And so Printify takes care of all this for me. Once someone checks out and buys this item, then I have to pay that $21 plus the shipping cost was $6.99. So that comes out of my bank account to pay for that. They make it, and then that ships to the customer. Okay, so that's how that works. It saves you a lot of trouble when it comes to creating products and having, especially clothing, because with clothing, you can see all these different sizes here, the different colors. That's a lot of product to have in stock. So this helps a lot with that kind of issue. So what I would do if I wanted to have this on my card website, yeah. So what I would do is I would just take this image, save as, and maybe I will do that. I'll save as and just save it in my desktop. And I'm going to go ahead to my card site. Oh, first we're going to go back here and I'm going to take this URL here at the top. I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to go ahead and put that here, right? I'm going to select all this except for the @blank, paste that in. Buy now for $60, or I could say buy shop the hoodies, whatever I want it to say. And done. And then I could add the image here that I just downloaded from the mock-ups that they gave me. See if I can find it. Where is it? Let me just go ahead and I can click here and get the image as well. Just drag it onto my desktop. Okay, where is it? Why can't I find it? There it is. And I can use the crop tool here to make sure it fits in there, accept, and there we go. And then of course I can make this image clickable as well, pasting in the link @blank. And now I'm able to sell this exclusive merch right here on my card site. So this is fantastic for if you just want to sell one item, do a limited run, and then remove it, switch it out for something else. You could also create multiple items in your pop-up shop on Printify, kind of like I do. I have all kinds of these for my leaf peeping stuff. And I could make this part of my site not feature a product, but feature all the store if I wanted to. But again, I don't necessarily recommend this tactic if you're going to have lots of items in your shop. This is definitely a better tactic if you're going to have small batches of items and you just want to keep it simple for your people. You don't want to have a full-on huge e-commerce operation. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So this gives you two options of ways to use these creating an offer, either an ebook that you could sell or give away for free, because Gumroad, you're allowed to do free items as well, or you could create an item like a physical product to sell. And if you are interested in trying out Printify or Gumroad, again, all the links are below this video. All right, so the next section and the final part, well, second to final part, is the contact form. Now you'll notice here, as I scroll down, we have the scroll point marking the contact. But I also have this other one, and this is called the footer marker. So, for example, if this had been formatted another way, this would be in the footer and would appear on every section of the web page. But the way it's formatted, the footer is not necessarily as important, but I still like to do it just in case you end up playing with the template. So the contact form is actually in the footer. So you'll see that here. And the contact form is so simple. It's such a fantastic tool and feature inside of Card. So I just click on the form and here comes the settings for the form. And all I have to do is add a recipient email. That's all I have to do. And then here you put the message to, or you can redirect to a URL or whatever. Once they've hit submit, this message will appear. And this can say whatever you want. So you want to put a recipient email, meaning when someone submits this form, where is this email going? And you can also customize the form. So I just have the very basic name, email, and message because that's often the best way to go, because if you have too many questions, people may not fill it out. Whereas if you have too few, you might have too many fill it out. So it's a delicate balance. But to add fields, we just go up here onto the top of the slide out here, and we have fields. And you'll see these are the 3 fields that we have as required. And then we have others that we can add. So we can add if it's company name, if that's a common inquiry that you get, you might want to add that to your form. Phone number, if that's something that you want to try and collect. You can add a subject line to the message, and you can also have a consent form depending on where you're located and the requirements, and you can customize that language if you'd like. So those are the few other forms we can add, or fields to the form that we can add. Now, if you feel like there's some reason there's not a field that you want to have, or excuse me, you want to have that's not available here, then that's something that you could create in something like Email Octopus or whatever, that you can create a custom form. Now, that would be ultimately, those emails would be going to your newsletter list, which is a little different than your inbox. So you just want to consider that. But I think for most people in most places, this simple contact form is perfect for what you need. And you'll notice I haven't put anywhere my contact info. I haven't put anywhere my email address. I haven't put anywhere my phone number. If you do end up going the e-commerce route, this stuff is required. But because I'm sending people to another platform to purchase, I'm dealing with a marketplace, so those rules are a little bit different. So that's kind of the deal with that. If you do decide to have your own online store, now you have to be a business in the sense that you're either working under your own name or you have an LLC or whatever. But that's getting a little bit technical, but I just want to explain that. I'm filtering everybody to this contact form if they want to reach out to me, because I want to have emails that, first of all, have a purpose. I just don't want to just have my email address and then just get emails without a purpose, right? Okay, so once that's done, we have our contact form ready. And then we have these links at the bottom. Now, I customize these so that you could easily find the content for, the content needed, additional content needed for using this template. So it just has all the links for those when you're looking at the demo. But we want to customize this to mirror this, right? And so the quickest way to do that is to click on the navigation link here. We're going to click copy, and then I'm going to just click, hold it, and drag it all the way down. Keep going. Here we go. And I'm going to put it right above that one. Click done. And then this, all I have to do is click delete. And now I have this mirroring what's at the top of the website, and these links will take us to the different parts of the website if they end up down here at the bottom and they want to continue. Then you will also need to customize these buttons again. Now, the layout on this is different than the layout up here. You'll notice this is like a vertical layout, whereas down here it's as a horizontal layout. So these ones you'll have to customize yourself, each one, just like we did in the About section. So just a little bit of work there, not much. And then at the bottom, we want to click on this bar of text. We want to make sure the year is accurate. You want to make sure your name is here for copyright purposes. And then at this point, you're welcome to delete the link at the bottom if you like, or you can leave it there if you want to help support my channel. And the more people that click that link, the more it helps me, but you have no obligation to keep that there. All right, and then once we've made those changes, we just want to, again, make sure we are saving this as an offline draft. And the next thing we're going to do after we have already put in all the content that we needed for this web page, we are going to work on the design. So we're going to work on colors, we're going to work on fonts, we're going to work on other design elements that you can use in this template to change, to personalize it, to make it your own, including the dividers and the buttons. So we're going to get onto that very soon. All right, so now that we've got all the content that we actually want on our website, now is the time that we can take the extra steps to design it to fit more of our aesthetics and whatever we like. Now, here, when we're thinking about this, we want to think about colors and we want to think about fonts. So the first thing I suggest is, do you have a logo, or do you have colors that you think of when you think of your brand or all that, and keep that in mind. And if you have a logo, I'll show you a trick to be able to pull the colors and fonts from that logo. But first, I'm going to suggest we head over to this app called Coolors, COOLORS.com. And you'll see once I open the app and I click generate, it creates a random color palette. Now, for a website, you want to have a black, you want to have a black, you want to have a dark, you want to have a mid-tone, you want to have a light, and you want to have a white. So we want 5 colors. And so for the very darkest, we want to have a black. So I just clicked on the hex code, which is this combination of numbers and letters. And here and now I'm given the color picker so I can go around and find the black. It doesn't have to be pure black. You can pick a dark black or dark gray. But if you're not sure, just go with black. And then the same thing here on this end, I'm going to just select white. Now what I can do here with these color palettes is I can click the lock icon on these and lock those. And then at this point, I can just hit the space bar and it'll start generating random colors. And this app is also on the phone, so you can play around with it on your phone. So this is where you can get a little bit creative. Now we want to have a light and a dark and then a mid-tone. And those can be colors or they can be versions of gray. In the template, as I created it for you, and we can go look at it, it is white, a light gray, you can see here. The mid-tone is this coral color. And then I have the dark, yes, here, this is the dark gray. And then the text is black. Okay, so there's the 5 colors, and you can see how they can be used, and it looks nice and keeps the design cohesive by using color. So, but we can get a little creative with it. We don't have to use the grays. That is a more generic color palette if you're trying to keep it pretty neutral and modern and clean looking, or if you want to try and get a little bit funkier. So here, if we just look at my screen right now, this is a pretty funky color palette, but we can go with it, and I'll just show you how it could work. So I want you to try and find and discover your own color palette. I'm going to go with something kind of funky so you can see the extreme of it, and then we can go from there. So I'm not going to stick like this. I'm going to actually move these colors around because what I want is I want this to be a dark color. I want this orange to be a lighter color, and then I want this green to be my like mid-tone. So to get this to be a darker tone, I'm going to actually click the view shades icon, and I'm going to go down a little bit into a darker tone, something like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing here with this orangey tone, and I'm going to go to a lighter peach color. And I can play around with this to kind of get what I want. And then this is a mid-tone, so I might want to just make that more of a mid-tone. And you can see when I'm talking about mid, light, and dark, this end is going to be your darks, right? This end up here is going to be your lights, and then anything in here is going to be your mid-tones. So you want to find what appeals to you in these tones. So you can see that kind of changes the overall feeling of the color palette. It's not as bright and as in your face. It's a little bit more muted, but it's still kind of cool and funky, okay? So I'm not saying you have to do it this way, but this is going to be the easiest way to incorporate color into this palette, into this template. But I welcome you to experiment with this. You can even say, oh, I'll lock this color in. I definitely want these. I'm not sure about these. So we can play around with the space bar and something like this. I kind of like this green. If I bring it more to the mid-tone, I could lock that in. And then I can play around with this until I get something that maybe appeals to me and bring that to a lighter color, something like that. Okay, so this is a way that you can play around with this. So I'm going to go ahead and just stay with this. I'm not saying that this is the best color palette in the world. I'm certainly not saying that, but I will be able to show you visually how you can play around with color in this template. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this. Oh, I wanted to show you first how you can pull color from image or logo. And all you have to do is go into the tools in Coolers and go to image picker. Now, when I go into image picker, then I'm able to add an image, and then I can move these around to select colors to get to my palette, right? And we want to have it, the same rule applies. We want a black, a dark, a mid-tone, a light, and a white. So you can pull those from your logo or color or an image that represents your brand, and you can use that as a guide. But I'm going to just go ahead back to the palette we generated, and I'm going to use this and make sure I'm going to lock these again because I did leave the page. So I'm going to lock these to make sure I'm ready to go. So I know black and I know white. The important thing that we need to know is this hex code. And this is the code that tells the internet what color to display. So this code only applies to this color, and that's it. So when we click the copy hex icon here, now that copies that code to the clipboard, and I'm able to use it on card. Okay, so I'm going to go back here, and where I'm first going to be applying color is the mid-tone, and that is the title, these accents, some of the buttons, the links, things like that, where you see this accent color. So I copied the wrong color, so I'm going to copy the mid-tone, the green, and I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to just go ahead and click on the title, and I'm going to go now to the Appearance tab. Now here are all the different versions that you can use for guidelines. So when I make changes to this title, anywhere else on the website that is using this style called title, whatever changes I make, it will apply to as well. So I don't know if I think I'm using this on the bottom as well. So we'll see. So if we look here, this is title, and I believe this is title as well. Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and change this here by removing that color and then adding that color, right? The mid-tone. And we need to make sure that we have that hashtag or number sign there. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then when we get to the top, it should be changed here because these are both the title style. See, so any changes I make to that will apply. The next thing we can look into is fonts, right? So while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and look into fonts. Now the navigation menu here, I'm going to just check the appearance, and the link color here is black. The 000 you can see is the same code for black, so I don't have to make any changes to that one. Oh, excuse me, wrong tab. But here I have a hover color that is, when I hover my mouse over it, you can see the color changes slightly. So what I can do here is I can go to my color palette and take my dark, go ahead and go back, and I can change the hover color to that dark and click done. And then here you'll see now when I hover, it changes to that purple. I could also make it that green. I could make it whatever color I wanted, but you can see that that stays within our color palette and stays within the theme of the website. So now I'm going to talk about fonts because I want to use the header for a heading font, and then I want to have a font for the just regular text. So we want to have two fonts. You can have more. I wouldn't recommend that. And if, for example, you have a logo, I'm doing here as an example of a text logo. If you do have an image logo, all you have to do is click the plus button, image, and add your image. Remove the link URL, of course, but add your logo image and make any tweaks or changes there. It defaulted to a gigantic image, but it would, if you put in a small logo, you can make changes by going into the appearance and adjusting the width and adjusting the height and adjusting the corner rounding so that it doesn't have that rounding, or you can, if you like it round, if it's a round logo. So you play around with these settings to get it to be the size you want. I'm just deleting that because I'm just doing a text logo, but we're going to look at the fonts. So another page that I found, which has a list of all the card fonts, so we can go through and see visually all the different fonts that are available to us. So I'd recommend for a heading font, we want something that's unique and stands out, has maybe a little quirk about it that might be memorable. Or if you want to keep things clean and modern, that's up to you. The font I picked for the template, this looks like a clean and modern font, but it's an interesting font. It has some very interesting pieces to it that makes it a little bit unique. You can see in the M, for example, and in the A, for example, these different ways of designing the font make it stand out a little bit different. It kind of interrupts your eye and gets you to look at it a little bit longer, whereas just a standard sans serif font, it may not do that. So when I go to this tool, and you can find the link below, is I'm going to go ahead and put in my font preview sample text. Now it's going to be in all caps, I know that, but you could make it however you want. And then we click update font previews, and now I can see all these fonts. And what we're going to do is I'm going to just go to the display, and these are going to be the more unique and dynamic fonts that you can take a look at. So these ones are readable and then have little quirks that might be interesting to you. So you can find ones that are handwritten, you can find ones that are cursive. And in the case of a cursive font, if you're looking for something like that, then you would want to have it have lowercase in there. So you can see, like for this font, much better looking with a lowercase. So you can play around with this. Something like this might look nice, just whatever fits your style. And you want to think about what you're selling, what you're doing. My preferred is a more like a literary sense and intellectual sense. That's just how I perceive myself and what I do. So I want to kind of convey that through the fonts. But you can, whatever message you're trying to convey, uniqueness, quirkiness, streamline, you can literary, typewriter, a whimsical, these are words that you can use to describe the work you produce, and then you can kind of narrow down a font you like. So I'm going to go back to all caps, and I'm going to just find a font to use as an example that's a little bit unique, and we will have to make corrections for. I kind of like this one, Federo. So we're going to go ahead with that. So I've got the title selected. Now I'm going to scroll down to font. And what I can do is just start typing the first letters of Federo, so F-E, and that should bring me pretty close to it. So here it is. And you can see it defaulted to lowercasing because that's how I have it typed in here. So what I can do is go ahead down here. I should be able to uppercase it. Appearance, yep. So we scroll down and we have the appearance option and we click uppercase, and that will do it for us. Now, to me, the size of this, the scale of this is a little bit big. So what I can do is also here, I can bring the size down to something that is more what I'm looking for. So I'm going to go ahead with 6, click done, and then I can look at this. And now we're going to go ahead down to the bottom, and you'll see it did the same here. I never changed the actual text. So if I go here and change the text, now you'll see that it matches at the top and bottom. Now for the links, I can go ahead and do the same thing if I want to use the same font. And the size is a little big again because this font is just a bigger font. So I do have to make these minor tweaks. So I can just bring that down to what I want it to look like. There we go. And you can see how that looks. So this font gives me a very cinematic feel or a magazine style. So if that's the kind of work I do or message I'm trying to put out, then this is an appropriate font for that. Okay, so probably not for me, what I'm trying to do, but I'm just using this as an example. Now, the next things we can start changing the colors in is the containers themselves. So this container is the light gray. We can go to the appearance, and you'll see this is a certain container called Spotlight, and we can go ahead down to where it says background, and we have that color. So what we can do is go to our palette and choose not the white, because the white is actually the background of this website. So we can go ahead and put in that color, and now we're given this not white, but light color. And for the accent here, these dots, this is actually a border. So it's actually bordering just one side of the boxes in here, which are called cells. So this border, we want to go ahead and get our midtone and bring that over and paste that in. And that gives us that. And then the next change we want to make is to this text up here. We can change this to white so that it is contrasting, but it's not overwhelming. And then we can go ahead to the color here where we have the link color. and I'm going to go ahead and put that green in. And a trick with this, with the hover, is we put the green in and then we just lower down the opacity. So I'm just lowering the opacity slightly. So when I hover, you can see that something happens when I hover. The opacity of the color actually changes, so it fades a little bit, just indicating that I'm over that. Then I can click on the button and I can go ahead and do the color appearance on the button and change the background to my accent color and click done. Here we also have a color issue here with this, so we need to make sure that this is white so that's readable. And then we also have the link where we want to have that accent color and then adjust it so when it's hovered it fades a little bit. And I actually might make the font color on this, in particular the black. I think that will look better here for this type of caption. So you can let me know what you think of that. And then these headings, this is actually the dark color, not the black. This is actually the dark color. So we go back to our color palette and we get that wine dark color and we put that in here. Okay, so you can see now those colors are coming together. And now we put the colors together, but to me, it doesn't feel right to me. Like this white isn't appealing to me right now. So this is when you can kind of make your own adjustments and changes and tweaks to fit your style. So what I might do is try the black here and see if I like that. And I kind of like that better, right? So it feels cleaner and it looks better. Now, when it comes to this YouTube video, it doesn't quite fill up this box. So I'm going to make a little bit of a tweak to the size of this. So I click on the video and I go to appearance. And what I can do is just bring the size to max. So I just drag this over until I get to max. And so now that's going to fill up as much as possible space that's available while still fitting into the constraints of my website. So that's filling in that spot. The next thing that we can do is if you find that white here isn't working for you, you could do something a little different. We could make the background of this entire website the color. So what I can do is just click on the icon here in the top corner. I hope you can see it. Let me check. Oh, you can't see it because I'm in the way. So I'm going to just move myself down here. And here I am up on the top right, and you can click the background from the drop down. Now here what we can try and experiment with is we can take the light color and put that in as the background. And I have the header a different color. So what we can do is find the background. Here we go. We can do none. There we go. We can just do that. There we go. And now we can take this container and play around with the color and maybe make that white. And now we have a completely different look to things, and we can make the tweaks that we need to along the way. So that's just another way you can play around with the color in this website. Also, if we go back to the background, you can add patterns. You can really spruce it up into something unique. We can make these big polka dots. We can make them super tiny. We can make them thicker. We can make them almost microscopic, faint. You can click on the color and drag this to opacity down to make them very faint, almost like a texture. You can play around and see all the different options that are available if you want to add some interesting, something dynamic to your background. So like something like this is looking very cinematic to me, right? So I could play around with this a little bit. If I was making movies or something, this looks very cinematic to me. And you can see as I scroll, the background kind of stays static. So you can play around with that. That's another way to add something interesting. You could also, for your background, you can add a gradient, you can add an image, you can even add a video or a slideshow of images. So you can get really creative with the background on your website. So I'm going to just revert this back for the sake of time and demonstration. So I'm just going to revert this back to the color I wanted. Here it is. And I'm going to grab this color and put that in here. So there we go. Now here we are in the About Me section. We had some issues here, some things changed. And what happened was I did something with the image editing here on the spotlight image. And that was when I was playing around with the logo up in the header area. So when you do create an image or anything, you want to make sure before you make any tweaks, you do select the none and then start making changes. So that was a mistake I made. But here I can just go ahead and drag this to max, and the same thing with the height. We can just make that where it was. Now I could always do the undo until I get back to where I was, and then we want the corner rounding. Okay, so here is where we can make some more tweaks on the color. So this is the overline, which is the same as this here. So we're going to keep that how it is. This is heading 2, which I haven't edited yet. And this one I can use the wine color for. And then we can go to the buttons, and we can go ahead and add and make those that color as well. And on this container, we want to select the entire container so that we can make a tweak on the border, right? So I'm going to go ahead and grab that green. Here we go. And this is all in black. I'm just confirming. We want to make sure that the text is black. It seems like it's off black, so I'm just going to make that black. Okay, and then we have these lines here. So we're going to make sure that that is the green to match, and this one as well. And here we have another title we want to use that wine color for. So as we go in and make these changes, things are going to update throughout the site, and we won't necessarily have to make these changes to everything. And see, like this is heading 2, I made that change, and this is also heading 2, so it made that change there as well. And as we go down, you can see most of this is already changed, but we still need to make sure that these dots are the color we want. So we go ahead in there, and then we want to make the background the light. And again, there's no rules that say you have to do it this way, these colors. I'm just walking you through a great starting point of incorporating your colors. And then you can always go in and make tweaks as you go. This submit button, I just want to confirm that that color is correct. So we go ahead to the appearance tab on the form, and we go to button here. And then I want to make sure that it is that wine color. And I have to just go here and copy that. There we go. Perfect. And this is actually supposed to be, the border is supposed to be the green. So you can see that didn't look right. I did something wrong there. You probably caught it for me. There we go. And now that's looking great. Down here, we have these. We want to make that green. Let's see, here we go. Sometimes you have to scroll around a little bit to find it. Add that, and you can see once I change that one, it changed this one, and this one is so this one, see already, this is already looking good. Now the only problem here is the underline isn't the right color. So we have to go here where we have underline, make sure we have the green, make sure those are changed. And this all looks good. We come down here. Now we want to make sure this border is the green. Done. And I want that submit button to be my purple. There we go. And then down here, we want to make sure that these buttons are all the purple, and we are ready to go. So there we go. All our colors are incorporated. Now the next step is the fonts, because I kind of went through and did all the color, and now we're going to go ahead and do the fonts. But we still need to select our paragraph font. We've got that title font, which was the Fedora. So we're going to go ahead in and click anywhere we want to make sure that that font's being used. So we just start typing a Fedora. There we go. And we want it here as well. And this one, I may bring the size down a little bit. There we go. And this one I may want to make uppercase. Just click on it. We go to appearance, uppercase. And then I might want to bring the font size down on this one as well. Something like that. Looks great. And then we want the button text to be this font as well. Okay, so where do we go? Scroll, scroll, scroll. Here it is. There we go. And I'm going to just take a look and see if I want this to be uppercase or not. think so. And then bring the size down a little bit. There we go. And then I'm just going to go ahead around here anywhere else that I want to make sure is that font, definitely on these buttons. And I want to make sure that those are uppercase, appearance, uppercase, size, bring that back down to 1.5, and making sure that the fonts are looking how I want them. I believe I want, what is it? No, that's not, I don't, the button, here we go. So we want to make sure the appearance of here is correct. And I want to make sure that's uppercase and bring that back down to 1.5 on the size. Okay, and then the fields, I want to make sure those fields are the font as well. So we go here, there we go, and then bring that font size down to 1.5. Done. Okay, and let's see here. These fonts I want to make sure match, and I might just bring that size down a little bit more. Perfect, and this is all looking good. And the only other form is this one here where I need to make those changes again. Perfect, and then the button, turn that to uppercase and bring the size to 1.5. Okay, and then down here we need to do the buttons here as well. So we're going to go ahead and do that, uppercase, and I'm going to make those a little bit smaller so that they are more condensed. There we go. And now we can go back to the top. So I've got all my heading font. Now I just want to have my paragraph font to match. Now I could just leave this. It's not atrocious. It works well because it's just a generic sans serif font. So what we can do is just go open this up, click on the letter, and I'm just going to copy this first sentence. And then I'm going to go back here to the preview and paste that in and update so I can see what I want to deal with. Most of the time, paragraph font sans serif does tend to work better because it is generally easier to read, but you could choose a serif font if you wanted. But I generally like to have my headings be something more dynamic or interesting or a style font, and then the paragraph handwriting of the font a more simplistic. That's just my style. Please go with whatever you'd like. So we can just scroll through here, and even though these fonts are displayed much bigger than they will, we get a general idea of what we might like or not like. And I want something that's very generic, that's not going to take away from the font that's used in the headings. So I'm thinking something like this, or let me look, epilogue. That actually looks very good. So I'm going to go ahead with that. So what I'm going to do is go back here. I just clicked on the paragraph. I clicked here, and I'm going to go ahead down and do epilogue. Now I can look at this by clicking done and just see how it comes together. And I'm going to just look at this more closely. I'm currently, the font weight, which is how dark or light the font is at extra light. So what I can do is just bump that up and then maybe adjust the font size down one to kind of get the overall look I'm looking for. And then here, anywhere that I use just a regular paragraph font, I want to go in and change it to this epilogue font and make sure that the weight is matching throughout. So here would be an example. Okay, and that's good. Here, it's already selected because I changed this content one style. So that one's all set. But it's always good to just double check and make sure. Yep, this one's already changed. This one I need to change. Here we go. This one changed. Yep. Here already. Here already. Good. You can go down here. Yep. All set. And I just like to check and make sure we're looking good here. Yep. Epilogue, epilogue. Okay. And so you see, once you kind of do this a few times, you can kind of get through this pretty quickly, and we are good to go. So now, guess what? We have our website done and ready to publish. How exciting is that? Here, I'm going to, of course, save the changes as my draft, and now we're ready to publish. We're ready to publish. How amazing is that? Now, we can always publish by clicking the save here without telling anybody. So if you have a domain published to a custom domain, you're going to want to follow the instructions here They give you very detailed instructions to set up your DNS. If you have trouble with that, please reach out to me and I will help you. Or you can publish to a .card.co URL. You can select that, or they have other versions as well that you can select from. So I could pick whatever name I want, .card.co, and that would be completely free. So if you're not paying for your own domain name, you can use that temporarily. I would recommend, though, springing the $15, $20 a year and get your own custom domain. And then once you have that connected, you hit publish, make sure everything's working perfectly for you, test the site, go through it, click all your links, make sure it's looking how you want, come back in here, make the tweaks, make the changes, and once you have it all ready, show it to a friend, show it to your family, look at it on a phone, and all kinds of other things. I will show you real quick, though, a couple other things to check before you publish, and that is the mobile version of the site. We have a little preview here so you can get an idea of it. Now, looking at this right now, I already see a problem, right? So what I can do is click on this, and now I'm editing in the mobile version. I can scroll all the way to the bottom here, and you'll see down here is mobile editing. This is doing its auto thing. It's auto designing for mobile. Sometimes it does a really good job, but sometimes we just have to make little tweaks. So that's when I would click the manual setting. And then here, now I can make my adjustments to what I want it to be. It can't be quite as big as it was on the desktop site to have plenty of room, but I'm able to do that. And now that looks great. And here I just go ahead and scroll. It should be okay, but it's good to just double check that everything is working for you. So you just go ahead and you can see here on these buttons, the text is a little bit overflowing. So what we can come down is down in the mobile section. We can go ahead and adjust the size, bring that down, and have it fit better. Now we may want it to be bigger so it's more readable, right? So you may want to change the wording on these. This is thoughts that you can have, and that's okay. So if you find that on the mobile site that the wording doesn't look good and now it's too small and you want to actually change the wording on these buttons, go for it. Go for it. But good design is better than compromising, right? So I'd rather compromise on what these buttons say by going in here and changing the words. So instead of saying something like buy me a coffee, I could just buy a coffee or buy and see if that fits, right? And unfortunately, it's not going to say buy me a coffee because this font is too wide for this button. Hope that makes sense. Then we keep going, just making sure everything looks good on the mobile site. And this all looks great. Perfect. And you can see actually here we have to make another tweak at the buttons here. So we go ahead to the appearance, scroll down. We're now in the manual section of the buttons for mobile, and we just bring those down and click done. And once that looks good, go ahead and save. And I might actually make these bigger on mobile. So we can come down here and play around with that and get to where we want it to be. Now I'm going to go back to the top and see. Yeah, so that it worked good on that one, and we're all set. So that's the mobile editing, and I hope this video helped you get to a point where you were able to have your own website published, ready to go, and something you can share with your audience, be proud of, and keep updating. Make sure you get in there and update. When you have something new, put it in this feature hero section. Make those changes. When you have a new event, get in here and update the event. Okay? Once you get an email list, start sending newsletters. Do all these things and you will see how helpful and how wonderful having a website can be for your followers, for growing your audience, connecting your audience, and building a new audience from scratch. Thank you so much for watching. Please reach out to me anytime if you have any questions, and I will happily answer those. I do bi-weekly and weekly live stream events. I'm constantly online. I'm always available to help you out. So attend those live stream events, get your questions answered right away, and I'm happy to help any way I can. And how do you find out? Well, you visit my website. So go to my website, check out my events page, Check out get my live notifications, sign up for my email list, and you'll know all about it. You won't miss a thing. Thanks again so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.